So anyway, guys, we are completely safe down here in this bunker. These motherfuckers can drop anything they want and they can't do shit to me. So we can just dance and party all night long down here, okay? What the hell? Okay, everybody, just remain calm, everybody. Remain calm, people.
15 minutes later.
Nuclear program being obliterated by the YMCA shake a booty dancing guy in the rallies, you know, the guy with nice hair. Anyway, I mean, you guys, why do we even need a nuclear program anyway? Can't we just get some nice solar panels and windmills and shit? We don't need nuclear shit. So anyway, I need you guys to stop using electricity because we don't got shit anymore.
As most of you may know by now, Fordow nuclear facility in Iran will be closed for the foreseeable future. I'll let you know when they update their Google listing. Now, for the first clip of the day, and as usual, the timestamps are everywhere in the video. You can skip to the part that you want. We have low IQ hack, totally unbiased journalist Margaret Brennan. She had Marco Rubio, who's proven to be a star for this administration, on Face the Nation, and he absolutely cooked her. Let's go.
Are you saying there that the United States did not see intelligence that the Supreme Leader had ordered weaponization?
That's irrelevant. I think that question being asked in the media, that's an irrelevant question.
No,
they have
that is the key point in
weapon.
U.S. intelligence assessments. You know
no,
that.
No, it's not.
Yes, it was.
No, it's
that
not.
The political decision had not been made.
I know that better than you know that, and I know that that's not the case.
But I'm asking you whether the order was given.
And the people who say that, it doesn't matter if the order was given. They have everything they need to build nuclear weapons. Why would you bury things in a mountain, 300 feet under the ground?
Right.
Why would you bury why do they have 60% enriched uranium? You don't need 60% enriched uranium. The only countries in the world that have uranium at 60% are countries that have nuclear weapons. Because they can quickly make it 90. They have all the elements. They have. Why do they have a space program? Is Iran going to go to the moon? No. They're trying to build an ICBM.
No, but
so
that's a question. That's a question of intent. And you know, in the intelligence assessment, that it was that Iran wanted to be a threshold state and use this leverage. I'm talking about the public March assessment, and that's why I was asking you if you know something more from March.
But that's also an inaccurate representation of it. That's an accurate representation of it. That's not how intelligence is read. That's not how intelligence is used. Here's what the whole world knows. Forget about intelligence. What the IAEA knows. They are enriching uranium well beyond anything you need for a civil nuclear program. So why would you enrich uranium at 60%? Right. If you don't intend to one day use it to take it to 90 and build a weapon. Right. Why are you developing ICBMs? Why do you have 8,000 short-range missiles and 2,000 to 3,000 long mid-range missiles that you continue to develop? Why do you do all these things? They have everything they need for a nuclear weapon. They have the delivery mechanisms, they have the enrichment capability, they have the highly enriched uranium that is stored. Yes. That's all we need to see.
Right. Well,
especially in the hands of a regime that's already involved in terrorism and proxies and all kinds of things around. They are the source of all this
instability. And no one's disputing that. I'm not doing that here. And they were censured at the IAEA for that enrichment and for violating their non-proliferation agreements. I was simply asking if we had intelligence that there was an order to weaponize, because you said weaponization ambitions.
Well, we have intelligence that they have everything they need to build a nuclear weapon, and that's more than enough.
I rest my case.
Marco Rubio for VP 2028? Did Brennan really think that she was going to know more than Rubio? Now, before we get to the meat and potatoes of this clip, which is going to be Wesley Hunt giving Bill Maher the business, I want to give a quick shout out to this lady from the BBC for having some common sense and correcting the teleprompter.
London's School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine has released research which says that nearly 600 heat-related deaths are expected in the UK. Malcolm Mystery, who is involved in the research, says that the aged, pregnant people, women, and those with pre-existing health conditions need to take precautions.
Yeah, big shout out to this lady, because there's a good chance that right now she's in jail for violating some sort of speech law in the UK. Now let's get to Wesley Hunt, who was on Real Time with Bill Maher, and this guy pulled no punches.
Trump is putting the Robert E. Lee name back on buildings. I mean, are you down with that?
So when I was at West Point, I actually lived in Robert E. Lee barracks when I was there. And as I said,
Robert E. Lee went to West Point.
Yes, he did. That's why the barracks is named after him. And so my brother, sister, and I are matriculated through West Point. We all graduated. And I'll never forget walking under the threshold of Robert E. Lee barracks and think to myself, damn, this is one hell of a country. Because only in America can someone like me walk into a building named after a Confederate general and then be a successful West Point graduate. If we start changing the names on buildings, then every single building would be named Jesus Christ based on perfection. Let's talk about where we have come from. Well, maybe not to you, but to us. Maybe not to you, but to us.
A lot of them, some of them would be Moses.
Depending on where you're at. I bring that up because I want to talk about the progress, and the idea of us changing names on buildings actually doesn't harken us back to times where they weren't as good.
And statues,
and how
too?
can we not? Oh, my wife is, I've been black my whole life.
Yes.
So far, still. My wife is white, and we have 3 biracial children, and I cannot wait to show them and take them to places that wasn't always the case. There was a time when your mother and daddy could not be married. My children are going to have the opportunity to be second lining down in New Orleans, and then my wife is from Iowa. They'll be on the farm with their grandfather in Iowa. That is America, and I do not want to take down these statues and change the names of these buildings because they're a reminder of what was, and if we don't remember it, we are doomed to repeat it.
So there's a reason for it, I see.
My district in the great state of Texas is actually a white majority district that President Trump would have won by 25 points. As I said, I'm a direct descendant of a slave. My great-great-grandfather was born on a Rosedale plantation. I am literally being judged not by the color of my skin, but by the content of my character. That's the progress because, like, a lot of white people had to vote for me. A lot.
So
I don't even ever want to hear Whoopi Goldberg's conversation about how it's worse to be black in America right now. That's a bit far. And my father, who's 75 years old, he was a man that was in the French quarters that had to go get a sandwich to the back door of the building. And his son is now a United States congressman in a white majority district in Texas as a Republican. That is America. That's America. So let's celebrate that.
Yes. We'll fuck up the execution, just like they did with the parade. Like, do I think it was a good idea to have a parade? No, but if you're going to do it, if you're going to have a vaguely fascist parade, do it right.
I want to say something about the parade to offer another opinion from our side of this whole thing, and that is it was the 250th birthday of our United States Army.
Right.
As I said, thank you very much. And somebody that served this nation as an Apache pilot, again, my brother and sister going to West Point, 6 years of military service, mostly in the Army. My great-great-grandfather fought in the Civil War. And you know what I saw? I saw the president salute the Corps of Cadets as they walked past him. I watched him salute the 75th Ranger Regiment as they walked past him. I sat there and watched the fireworks behind the Washington Monument. And you know what I thought? Damn, that's absolutely outstanding. And it's far better than Joe Biden checking his watch when bodies were being returned to Dover.
Okay, wait a minute.
This is hold on. This is a contrast that we were talking about and why you lost. Because we are talking about a man that's talking about patriotism. And in parades like that, when I was growing up, I served. Because I used to go to these parades and watch my dad participate in them. I saw the Black Hawks landing. I visited my sister at West Point. I said, by God, I want to serve this country too. And so the dichotomy of what we're seeing with President Trump and his patriotism, saluting the flag, actually making an effort. And whether you like it or agree with the execution, the effort is there. That's all we want to see.
Execution does matter. First of all, thank you for your service.
God, Bill,
no, I mean that. I say that to everybody. I always have for 22 years.
I've watched you for 20 years.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank
I'm
you
always
very much.
behind the military, and
you have it.
Nobody compares to the military. Everybody says that they're brave. They're brave. Oh, you're so brave. Military, that's who's brave, and cops and firefighters and people like that, but mostly the military. Do we say that both parties are equally guilty? Because when I think about January 6th and pardoning all the people who were involved in that insurrection, or whatever you want to call it.
Insurrection. How do you have insurrection with no guns, though? That's like having. Well, that's like making coffee.
They
with
brought
no beans.
tons of guns. It's just
there's 400 guns currently in 40 million guns currently in circulation. One person was killed that day. It was Ashley Babbitt. She was a white unarmed person that was killed by a black Capitol police officer. Imagine if that had been the other way around. When I think of an insurrection as a war fighter, somebody that has seen some real nasty stuff, hold on. When I think about that, what people have to understand is that the summer of love leading up to that was something else. We were talking about $2 billion in damage. 200 cities had to go under curfew. 22 people lost their lives. And I understand that January 6th was the Democrats' white rhino, and they were going to run in that. They're going to win the next election. And Donald Trump is still president, last I checked.
Okay, take the politics out of it. I mean, look, they were there for a specific reason, and they attacked the Capitol, a specific place, on a specific day, at a specific moment, which was the exact moment that the votes were being counted, which to me makes it even worse. But okay, let's just say they were there because they were, I don't know, furious about the price of eggs. No politics. They were just like, Congress has not done anything about the goddamn price of eggs, and we're going to, I don't care how many cops get hurt, we're going to, would it be any different?
Well, again, we were talking about...
Is it just okay because it was defending Trump?
This wasn't necessarily about defending Trump.
Okay, but what if it was what if it was over 100 cops getting hurt and people taking over a building over the price?
Now you're talking about the summer of love.
Over the price
now
of
you're talking
eggs.
about the summer of love.
No.
That's when people were actually really getting hurt. Well, that's when 22 people died. That's when we watched mayhem in our streets. And even just a couple of weeks ago here in L.A., we were watching people throw pieces of concrete at law enforcement officers and cars burning in the street in our cities. We cannot have that anywhere.
Okay.
Now, I want to end it here with a clip from Chris Cuomo's show. You know shit's bad when Chris Cuomo's the voice of reason, where he pretty much cooks AOC. Speaking of AOC, some text messages have surfaced now. Some people will tell you that this is AI. You can make your own opinion. She says, call me Kamine Papi. I mean, that's going too far, AOC. And then she says, you can bust my bunkers any day. I mean, a little bit too soon, girl. Let's get to Chris Cuomo.
Representative Rashida Tlaib supporting Iran and calling Israel rogue and genocidal? Almost as bad are the people in her party who sit back and say nothing. Now is not the time. Where is AOC? Where are you, Representative? You are usually desperate for attention. Why so quiet? Are you worried your fellow socialists who don't think Israel has a right to exist will be upset if you speak truth about Iran being an absolute enemy? If you're a feminist, how do you not decry the fact that Iran would jail you for how you speak, for how you dress, that they would slaughter your LGBTQ plus constituents? Now is not the time for silence or acquiescence, nor certainly any perverse obeisance to a terror organization again. Even Senator Bernie Sanders, I'm surprised, calling Israel's attack illegal, says it hurts negotiations. What negotiations? Isn't he on the Senate Foreign Relations Committee? You really think Iran is going to ever let people check their abilities? They are, I know, you know, the senator knows this, but he's not living it with his politics. They want to kill Bernie as a Jew, as an American, as an infidel. They want to kill him. They're not going to tell you the truth. They're not going to keep a deal. They never have. Tim Walz wanted to be president and vice president of the United States. Really wants to say that we've surrendered moral authority by supporting Israel after targeting Iran, and that China may have the high moral ground? Are you nuts? They have 1 million Muslim ethnic minorities, the Uyghurs, in camps in China. What are you doing? I know that you think it's a way to attack Trump, but you seem crazy when you play politics, when there is an active terror threat against us. And don't say, yeah, no, only now because of what Israel did. No. As far as we know at this point, Israel says it had to do it. We don't know why. We'll try to find out more tonight. We'll wait for the president to tell us more. But we already know what matters. Iran has done terrible things to us. One of their agents is sitting in a U.S. prison right now for trying to kill Trump. They tried to interfere in our elections. They launched ballistic missile attacks against our troops in the Middle East. They seized our naval boat. You want to support something in Iran? Good. Support revolution. Don't support the despotic regime. Support the people who are desperate and who are oppressed and subjugated. Rally for them to fight for their freedom against a toxic Islamist horde that has committed countless human rights abuses against their own people. Call for that. I'm not saying America should go to war. It's not my place to make that case. It's my place to test that case.
That's it for this video, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you were informed by it in some way. If you were, please consider smashing that thumbs up button. That really goes a long way to help me out. And also, if you're not yet subscribed and this is not your first time here, hopefully this could be one of the videos that I earn your subscription. Catch you in the next one.